All right. A question we get a lot is, can a Christian get a prenup? So this is going to be a fun discussion. Get this question all the time. And let me just be really honest with you. If you need a prenup in your 20s, you're probably not ready to get married yet. A prenup isn't financial wisdom. It's a faith statement. And it's the wrong one. So when you're entering into a marriage, you are entering into a marriage covenant, not a marriage contract. So the government got involved. You need a marriage license from them. You get tax benefits, all the stuff that is involved in the state. Cool. Love tax benefits. All great things. But we start treating marriage a little more like a contract and more like a business transaction than we do a covenant. A contract says this works as long as both sides hold up their end. A covenant says I'm in this even when it costs me. But we live in a day and age. Half of marriages are ending in divorce. Our parents haven't set a good example for us. We see a lot of catastrophe in social media and media. We see everyone's marriage seems to end in divorce. Somebody wins, somebody loses, somebody gets the kids, somebody gets all the money. And it's really, really sad. It's hard to trust anybody. And I think when we're getting married, we need to be asking ourselves, is this somebody that we can sign up for the rest of our life? Do we trust them with our legacy? Do we trust them with our children? Do we trust them with our body? When women marry a man, they're putting all trust into them, because to have kids and all that, they are sacrificing their body, they're sacrificing their energy, they're sacrificing the best years of their life for a man. And that man often goes on to cheat on that woman later in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and gets remarried to somebody 15, 20 years younger than her. And it's very, very sad. And we see that pattern over and over in this world. Men can just kind of keep restarting, and the gals get older and older, and it's just terrible. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's mom. Men should not be treating women like used cars. And sadly, we live in a day and age where I see a lot of that. Does that mean you should get a prenup? I don't think so. So you need to find a man or a woman that you can trust with the rest of your life. That the Bible calls this being equally yoked. So what equally yoked actually means is one ox can pull 1,000 pounds. A second ox can pull 1,000 pounds. You put them together, they can carry 2,500 pounds, not 2,000 pounds. So the math doesn't math. And that's why God's calling it equally yoked. So when you're with somebody that is equally yoked, so spiritually, vision, values, everything lines up with your values and vision for your life, you can then pull a much heavier load together. We are often marrying somebody that's more like ministry to us, especially men. I think a lot of men have a shepherd's heart, a pastor's heart, a father's heart, and they meet a gal that needs help. And maybe is in a hard situation. Maybe he's gone through some rough stuff. Maybe he hasn't matured the way that you'd hope. And this man steps in and almost steps into a parent role with her. And you can't pastor or parent a girl into a healthy marriage. You'll never respect them. And that is something that you need very high mutual respect in marriage. Same goes for gals. There's a whole epidemic of women that are far more mature than men right now. And they'll come into this relationship and grab a little brother as a boyfriend and future husband that sits in the back seat while she drives the car. She gets the groceries. She spoon feeds him. She pays all the bills. This is not a good situation either, because that woman doesn't respect that man. And if you don't respect your partner, there's a very low likelihood that relationship's going to last. So I think we're asking the wrong question if we're talking about a prenup. If a prenup's coming up in the conversation early in your 20s, early 30s, I would ask the question, can you commit to each other? Is there a commitment issue? Is there a trust issue? Do I have a hurt, a wound, something from my past that I need to dig into? These are all things that need to be worked through before marriage. Once you're married, you got to put your full trust in this person. And so that'd be my advice for you if you're in your 20s or early 30s. The one tangent, if there are exceptions to when a prenup can be helpful, and let me get into those now. There can be the exception where somebody's in a second marriage, they're in their 50s or 60s, they've promised inheritance to kids, they have big family trust, big family estates, lots of wealth. And if that money's already been promised to certain kids and this family's bringing in their own kids, there just needs to be really open and honest conversations, because there is situations where a gal or a guy will come into a marriage to get half of what you have, to take the inheritance. We live in Scottsdale, and there are plenty of girls in their 20s dating guys in their 70s. And it's like, do you really find him attractive, or do you find his bank account very attractive? And I think if you are in that situation, you're an older man with a lot of wealth or an older woman with a lot of wealth, and you are marrying somebody that is younger than you and doesn't come to the table with much, One, I would say you're probably not equally yoked, maturity wise, financially, spiritually, life experience. I would definitely have a lot of questions to ask you. But say you're getting married, that person's coming in, they don't want a prenup and you do want a prenup. This can be a situation where a prenup makes sense because you've already promised an inheritance to your kids. There's already expectations and stuff, and they're not looking for four other kids to get added to the will. And so these just need to be open and honest conversations because you've lived a full life at this point and you want to honor your kids and honor your word. Let your yes be yes, your no be no. Does that mean you have to have a prenup if you're later in life and have a lot of wealth? No, it doesn't. If you want to jump in full into that marriage, great, totally do it. I would say the prenup is the exception, not the rule. It used in rare cases with certain situations where it could get complicated. The big thing is just communication with your spouse or fiance. Have open, honest conversations. If your spouse or your future spouse, your fiance brings up a prenup, I would, all right, buckle up and have some serious conversations. Ask a lot of questions. Get very curious because it might not be about you. It might be about somebody that hurt them. It might be about what they saw with their parents. I think conversations when you're engaged that make you uncomfortable can be very, very helpful. They dig into root issues that may have not been unearthed until engagement. And you want to work through those before you're married. So no, I don't think it's a lost cause if your partner brings up a prenup. It opens a door to a big conversation that you need to model. What does it look like when we have a disagreement? What does it look like when we need to go through something hard? What does it look like when I'm a little hurt and I need to not take this personal because it's probably not about me? For men, you need to lead through this. For women, you need to learn to follow and help through this. Everything that happens in engagement is practice for marriage. Don't have sex. Don't practice for marriage. It's the sex thing. But everything else, how you deal with conflict, how you lead, how you help, that's practicing for marriage, and how it is in engagement is going to be how it is in marriage largely. So I would encourage you, look at it as a challenge to overcome, conversations to be had, and maturing that needs to happen with you guys. So prenup does not blow up the relationship. It's a good conversation to have, and there's rare exceptions where it makes sense.